The new Porsche 718 Cayman is today on Autogefühl, your #1 resource for in-depth car reviews and your #1 community to discuss cars with Thomas. I will explain you today why this is actually more of the true 911. It sounds a little bit strange, but I will explain you what I mean, and why this is here, also this very exact car, is probably the best Porsche you can buy. I will explain you that in exterior, interior, and of course the driving experience. We'll have some slower driving for your everyday driving, also motorway, because you will surely drive the car on the motorway, will also be part of your driving life. And we will also have a racetrack part where we really push the issue, and we will explain you the details from the normal 718 Cayman and the 718 Cayman S. Everything that has changed with this extensive product update, also about the 4-cylinder issue. Of course, now in Autogefühl in full HD, full screen, and full length. Let's go. So you know, a lot of car manufacturers only give us the highest high spec car. They of course want to present everything they have in their portfolio, but I like it more if you have a car that also is not that high in the price. For example, like here, this is the non-S version, and we also not have everything extra spec on here. For example, not the LED lights, these ones here are the xenon lights. The LED, you see then this 4-dot structure here, will also be just fine with the normal xenon lights. Graphite blue metallic is the color here, so it's kind of gray-blue mix. There's also this Miami blue available, this very strong blue, that would be my favorite, but you will soon see this here very well fits to the interior. On the exterior, with this extended facelift they have done here, they've changed the lower part a little bit. This one has a more stringent design now, changed the air intakes, for example, that they are more aligned, and also looking a little bit more, coming closer to the 911. 4.38 m or 14'3" is the total length of this car, so still a rather compact size. And I mean, look at the car, and that's also one reason why I say, if you compare it to, the very traditional 911 cars, the real 911 has become bigger and bigger and bigger, and this one here nowadays comes closer to the idea the original Porsche 911 used to have, from the size and also from the idea to be a pure sports car. That's what I'm meaning by that. In the normal Cayman version, you start with 18-inch rims. The S version comes with 19. But of course, for either of the models, you can get bigger rims like these ones here, 20-inch. Still, they are okay from the riding comfort, I can already tell you right now. And it's nice that the tire lip is protecting the rims here in this case, also with a rather gray format that also again corresponds to the car. And you see this color here is not screaming out, it's a rather elegant color that can dissolve with the road a little bit, and it's one hint that with this car you kind of won with the road. Probably most of you will know this one here is the mid-engine concept, and therefore we have these huge air intakes right here for the mid-engine, and that's also good for the weight balance. Total weight of the car is just about 1,350 kilos and has really a 50-50 even weight balance, and that creates a great handling. Also, it's more beautiful to me than the Boxster and the convertible, because we have this very floating lines here. I'm a convertible fan. I think I would still go for the Boxster just to have the open top, but visually, this is my favorite Porsche as for the visual part. I think it has the best design, because it's also not that fat, from the rear part as the 911. It's more elegant here. Still, strong shoulders already right here, and it really looks, that's defining Porsche design. You put a wrap over something, over a structure, and really pull it tight. And so it's really that you know, floating lines, but they look sharp at the same time because it's really pulled so tight. And looking at the brakes, it's very interesting to hear that the normal Cayman receives now the former brakes of the Cayman S and the Cayman S, the brake disc of the 911. So they stepped up the game as for the brakes. So what is new with the 718 Cayman in the rear? By the way, 718, if you haven't heard it in our Boxster episode, that refers to an older sports car from Porsche that also had a 4-cylinder, so they're keeping this tradition up, then that's the argumentation there as well. You see here there's also this new 718 logo and a new strap here, goes from left to the right with LED illumination. You can also probably see it on some of our driving shots, and also new tail lights that have this very clear and modern look. The exhaust is now in the center part. That is also taken from this traditional 718 car. In our Boxster episode, you will also see that car. We had that on a model and on display and showed you that one. And it starts with one central exhaust. It's formed like this, and if you have the Boxster S, or if you pick the optional Sport exhaust, then you also have this dual flute design. And then it's always the question about the sound: do you have this optional Sports exhaust or not? For example, in the Boxster video we had like the non-S with the Sports exhaust and the S with a standard exhaust, and so it's really complicated which exhaust you will pick. Of course, we will give you some sound samples later on as well. And that's how the wing looks like. It works automatically at higher speeds, but you can also set it manually, but there's no real reason for it. So unfortunately we cannot show you any engine today, because with this midship engine concept we would have the car, put the car up in the workshop to show you that one. But let's still talk about it because it's one of the main factors here with the product updates, same with the Boxster. Cayman and Boxster receive the same engines now, so both cars are really coming very close, and also the Cayman starts a little bit cheaper now. Porsche had it the other way around before, so this one, taking German prices as a reference, starts about 52,000 euros, then it's a little bit cheaper than the Boxster. And if you pick the Cayman S version, about 64,000 euros. That's really high in the extra price, and therefore I can also advise you, you'll be just fine with the base model to get the pure Porsche sports car feeling that really comes to the original Porsche DNA. Difference in engine is 2-liter 4-cylinder engine. The 6 cylinders are gone, natural aspirated are gone, but it's still a Boxster engine, or a flat engine as you say it. This one here comes with 300 horsepower, of course rear-wheel drive, I think I don't have to mention that. And the Cayman S then 2.5 liter, a little bit more of displacement, and 350 horsepower. The acceleration figures have been improved if you compare it to the predecessor models, with the Sport Chrono package that speeds it up a little bit, and the PDK, so it will be the best acceleration, about 4.2 for the S and 4.7 for this one here. It depends a little bit. Sport Chrono package, no. S or normal version, PDK or manual shift. This one here is with the manual shift because, as I said earlier, I want to show you a very pure Porsche. I hope you really like that and appreciate that. And of course, depends on your manual shifting skills then. Yeah, well, and I think we'll now take a look at the interior, because this one here is especially beautiful with that car. But one more short look at the colors. Here, for example, my favorite one, Miami Blue, a really screaming out blue color. It's also available for the 911. I love it. I mean, it's this matchbox car style, but still I love it. And racing yellow here. And by the way, this is a Cayman S. This is the non-S, so also, especially from the front, you don't see any difference. And here, a strong red tone, but rather in this darker shape, less a wine red. Or what about some classic silver? And here we also have the LED headlights, the optional ones. You can see it here with this 4-dot structure. And we have even more today for you. What about the pure white one? If you want a very strong red color, which is a little bit brighter, then this would be your choice. I think today we almost have every color here. And what is also interesting to see the setup here now, you can compare the side profiles, Cayman and 911. So what do you think? What's your favorite? This is the Porsche Khaki, always nice with this car silhouette and very light. You can open the car, door handles flip out to the upper side a little bit, and then look at this interior. I think it's my favorite Porsche interior of all times. It fits to the graphite blue exterior color. Look at that, how the colors match. Well, not 100%, but I think it's still so great. And then the bright part here as the contrast. And now my highlight of this day are the seats, because Porsche really goes for the sustainable way and offers as a standard one Alcantara on the inside and faux leather or leatherette on the outside with the standard seats. Those ones here are the optional adaptive sports seats, so one seat level above that. So you see that because they're here, have more shoulder support. And then for this seat, for example, this is not Alcantara, there's a so-called Sport Tex available. This is then, it's not a soft Alcantara, it's a little bit harder cloth. It's very well to sit on it, and also faux leather on the outside. So really the best setup they are offering here. Finally, Porsche is going for some genuine animal skin alternatives. Great stuff. And of course, for a racing car, this is perfect because you stick tight to the seats a little bit more, better for the side support and stuff. And of course, better that you don't sweat in summer that much, and it's also not cold in winter. Also look at the steering wheel that has this blue shade color. So this is really, just a dream setup, or what you think about it. You also see that the vents have moved up a little bit more to the upper part with the facelift. It was the same in the Boxster. Also the vents in the middle part, they have moved up in the interior. So that's one refinement they're shown here in the update. So what do you think about this very interior? And one thing, don't go for the bucket seats. The bucket seats are not really comfortable. They would be way slimmer, but just for something for the racetrack. And let's get inside. Of course, it's a very low sitting sports car, and therefore you have to climb inside. But considering my size, 1.86 m or 6'1", that still works. There's a lot of space above my head. It also works in the Boxster, in the convertible version we've shown you at an earlier stage. Also check out our Boxster review. It will be linked in the video description. Also from the seating position, you'll be also fine with the standard seats. Here, as I said, the sports seats, they offer you a little bit more side support here, but it feels very comfortable. And so this one is also a small sports car which suits you on a long travels. That does actually work, also because they've worked on the suspension. I will tell you more about it later when we drive the car. To put on the ignition, use the key, and here in Porsche it's traditionally on the left side, and then I can also turn on the ignition, and then all of the systems working here, also the vents that turn up at the moment. And overall, this cockpit is really a racing car driver's dream. You see those white contrast stitches here and those very stringent lines. And I've told you that on the exterior with Porsche designs quite often, that the distinguishable feature is that the Porsche always looks like you put a wrap over something and then really pull it tight. And that's kind of what happens here on the inside, because we have those horizontal lines here and everything is flowing and everything's like, a little bit under pressure. You have pulled it really tight, and that makes this, very clean and racing style atmosphere. So we can adjust those seats here. You can also get the manual one, but if you want it really electrically, you could do everything like here, putting it up and down, in the front, in the back, rear part of the seats, electronic lumbar support. And then here is for the side part of the seats. You could, for example, pull them a little bit tighter, the side bolsters. And here also in the front, maybe you can see it. And I keep tight here for the racetrack, for example. And you can even make those seats a little bit longer in the front, especially for tall people. That's some nice stuff. Wow. And then the two possibilities to open the trunk here in the front or in the rear, either here or also at the key. So that's both possible. And you can also, when you have the fastest loading possibilities for both ways, you go like this. Bam! And both are open. Yeah. The steering wheel is now inspired from the one of the 918 Spider. See it also here with those screws, very beautiful design. You can get it either with the buttons here, multifunction, for example, for volume, picking up the phone, canceling phone, and here controlling the screen. Or you can also get it as a pure racing steering wheel without buttons. So both is possible, and of course a compact size. And with the Sport Chrono package that speeds up the car a little bit and also adds this analog clock, you can also get this driving mode selector, and there you can pick normal mode, sport mode, that changes the throttle input and stuff, and also the exhaust mode if you have the optional exhaust. Sport Plus also changes the suspension, and individual there you can also set the different parameters really on your own. For the instruments you have these classic gauges, round, and they're going deep in there, and on the right side you can change the digital instruments, like seeing some G meter information or shifting assistant, or also the stopwatch can be activated right here. Here you can put your lap times on, and then also the analog clock is changing if you have it with a Sport Chrono package, and you put a lap in here. And what else? Let's go back here, tire pressure, and you can also get your GPS information here, see from the navigation screen. It's also good, so for example here you can see the close-up for the next road, and then the overview in the central infotainment screen. And there it is with the analog clock. It's really the lap time here, and you can do another lap, or for example also stop it, or you can reset it, and it's great when you reset it or start it. It always looks great with the analog clock, doesn't it? In the lower middle console you have some options. For example, if you have the PASM, Porsche Active Suspension Management, you can use the adaptive dampers and put them a little bit harder to sport. Here you can put in the, where it is, there it is, the PSM, you can put it out, so that's the traction control. You can deactivate it or also set it to PSM Sport, like, there it is, PSM Sport. So 3 modes then, on, half off and off. And if you put it off, you've always seen in our Boxster review probably, then you can really spin around the car. Exhaust valve, you can activate that one. If you have the special sport exhaust, you have to get it optional, then you can activate it, or it's also get activated in some sport modes. And here, this was the button, as I've shown you earlier, how to use the rear wing. I don't see any reason why you should do it on your own on purpose. It's just been done automatically at higher speeds and stuff. And the start-stop function on and off. The climate unit is still rather classic and has a nice clicking sound, yes, but overall maybe some terminals would be more practical, I think. Turning up the vents here, seat heating we got here as well. When we have the engine turned on, then also the lights flash here. So new is this infotainment system, which is now flattened out, and well, I think that my God. So you get this one here from a basic setup, but then you have to add the Apple CarPlay, that is optionally, or Android Auto, and also the GPS, that is both optional then, so you can pay that extra. Here in Malmö city here today, very beautiful city and very modern also on that island, and you see the reaction time is really good. You can use it like a smartphone, so great GPS, definitely. And if we go to the home button again, Apple CarPlay, you can have all your smartphone stuff in here and read your messages or on the phone, or listen to your favorite music, or also use your own map stuff. This one here is a demo phone at the moment, therefore there's no stuff on it, and you can, for example, call the devil, like here, directly. Then also connect your media. That's not my music. Subscribers know that's not my music. And you can also, or if you don't have the smartphone connectivity, you can also use Bluetooth to connect your phone. That is still always possible. And then there are of course some stuff about the car, like this. We left it in Germany today because I think the German language really fits to Porsche. This one is a consumption. It's not true because we have just driven like over here. Yesterday we've already driven around. You can score consumptions about 9 liters if you really keep it calm, and 11 liters on 1 kilometer is a realistic value. And you can have some assistance systems here, or set your stuff for light and stuff, for example. Always with a nice Porsche visualization here. Storage spaces, well, here in the middle part, there's just, 12-volt power supply, but not really space. Then below the armrest, you can put your smartphone. There's also a USB connection there, and it also connects then to the car antenna that you have, better connection for your telephone. By the way, again, build quality, everything is really totally solid. I mean, we know that from Porsche. Then new is also this new infotainment screen that is ray flat. Now you see this better overview. Soon more details about that. Next to that is the next storage space, and that is the beverage holders, which have this hidden system here. It's quite funny, and then you can put your bottles in here. Well, if you don't really, you can adjust. Otherwise, I let it in because then it doesn't create any squeaking noises or something. And the standard glove box, again with another USB power supply in there. And then the inside of the doors, slim in front of the sound system. And then another one, Michelle is helping us here. You can, for example, also put some bottles in there if you lay them flatly down. So that's also possible. We'll start it with the front trunk. Porsche logo, of course, on there. And well, it looks small at the first sight, but it isn't actually. And I can show you that this trolley here is not that slim, and it works if you put it here like this. You just have to pay attention that it's not like this here, because then the hood won't close here, but then you have to put it like this, and you see there fits another trolley right here and also a backpack in front of that. So 2 trolleys and a backpack will work for that one here. 718 Cayman logo, and then here, that's, difference to the box style. There we have another storage space here in the rear part. So very well usable. This car, you see, this one here is a normal backpack size. This one here is also secured, also with the cover here above that. And you wouldn't expect that it is a Porsche, but a Porsche is leading in this compact sports car segment as for the luggage space. So you could tell, for example, your wife or your girlfriend, I'm sorry, we really have to go for the Porsche Cayman because it's the most versatile one. You can get the most shopping bags in there. So it's a big argument. And if you would like, see those fixation rings here, you could add another net here and put something on here and secure it with a net that it doesn't flow to. And you see here this security bar, wow, here from brushed aluminum, so beautiful as well. I like that style here. And this one here, by the way, is for the fluids, oil and water, coolant fluid. And so this is kind of the only connection you have to your engine. Other than that, most of the service is done, they put the car up and then access it from the lower part. And there is even more for this very luggage space intensive family car. Here, it goes quite deep in there, and it's on both sides. You can put some very secret stuff there. What about some riding here? Nice. So you do have some nice sound also with the 4-cylinder, at least here from the inside you hear that. And manual transmission. Disadvantage is, for example, you have to put in the reverse gear by your own. It creates a little bit more effort. But if you're a pure sports car fan, of course you appreciate the manual transmission. 6-speed here, but also the PDK, the dual clutch transmission, is available. We're starting in the normal drive mode, and also already this normal drive mode gives you good acceleration. Let's see. So it was no problem to put the first gear until 70 kilometers an hour, and that's what a sports car is supposed to do. And you see it's also possible if you have a 4-cylinder. The 300 horsepower here in this so-called base model is really way enough already. So I also heard something of the sound. That is, we do have this sport exhaust that you can change in the valves. So there's a separate button here as well. And if you activate it, it gives you a little bit more sound fun. For example, like this now. You maybe heard something of the difference. And you can activate it on your own, manually. Or if you use this gear or drive mode selector here, this is coming with a Sport Chrono package. It affects more the PDK actually, because in the driving modes, for example, in the sport mode here, then you shift down earlier and stuff, or shift up later. Here with the manual transmission, you can pretty much control it on your own. However, sport mode changes then the throttle input here as well, and Sport Plus, for example, that also activates the exhaust button and also puts the suspension a little bit stiffer if you have the PASM, the Porsche Active Suspension Management, which we are equipped in with here. And the car also sits 10 millimeters lower in total. The great thing is, even if you're at higher speeds here, about 100 kilometers an hour, look at that. If I go left and right in the slalom here, it's incredible. This handling of the car, I think it's the best in the world, the best handling car, because it has such a balanced setup, and all of the steering commands are so directly transported onto the road. You feel that you would be one with the car, and I think that's the feeling that the Cayman is transporting, you know, at the highest level, definitely. So that's really a special thing. Overview is of course not that good here in this car. It's relatively low. Can't see that well, although the car is relatively small. That's also not, you know, what matters most. If you're here, for example, on the motorway and want to have it rather silent, you can also just go to the normal mode again, shift up, 5th gear, and as a rolling gear, there's also even a 6th gear available. And then you realize it gets a little bit more silent. Of course, the wind drag is really optimized with this car, and therefore you can also ride this car relatively silently for a sports car on the motorway. For example, here 110, I can also set, for example, the cruise control, 111 kilometers an hour, and we're driving at about just over 2,500 RPM, and the engine is relatively silent. And I think it's also very important that with this car you will also be on the motorway, and well, most of the countries besides Germany, we cannot go any faster than that on a motorway anyway. So you also want maybe a rather relaxing ride, and not all the time like hammering the throttle, even, you know, if you're not allowed to. And if you compare it with some other sports cars that are more in the high revs, then also in the higher gears, and that's really annoying then on the long-term run if you want to have a rather relaxed motorway ride. And it's also something special here, because with the new suspension setup, you can get a sporty setup, but at the same time a more comfortable setup. So for example, here on the motorway, it's also relatively comfortable from the suspension, so you can't moan about that. Also, those cloth seats help us to, you know, remain at a rather good temperature. We do not stick to the seats that much as we would do on a, you know, very glossy surface as we have from leather seats. So I'm also very satisfied when riding those by that. Funny also, you might think about, okay, small engine has no performance then in the higher gears. Well, the 6th gear is not really meant for acceleration, but if you maybe even in the 5th gear. So what about being in the 5th gear with about just below 100 kilometers an hour? If I hammer the throttle, what happens then? That's really interesting. See that? It's perfectly fine. I mean, the main thing is here, although it's a small 4-cylinder engine, due to the setup and, you know, the turbo we have in, it feels like it would be a bigger engine because the performance is right there. And I think that you can never moan about the performance, because the performance is better than the car we had before. Maybe the sound was a little bit better with the 6-cylinder. I have to admit that, of course. Other than that, I think it's really remarkable that with this update or extensive facelift they did, it's also become a better Autobahn car. So, welcome to the racetrack with the Cayman here in the S version. So, half a liter displacement more and 50 horsepower more, and I'm already in the Sport Plus mode, and we have the camera view to the front all the time now that you can enjoy the performance with me, guys. We're on the Stirrup Raceway close to Malmö in Sweden. What a handling performance here. I really feel one with the car. And you feel it is lighter also than the 911. You definitely feel it here. Blindly into this corner. And well, you feel a difference between the normal and the S version. And the main difference is that, well, for some racing drivers, you might say there's a turbo lag with the non-S version. Here you definitely got none, and I think you hear, feel and see that here. And I think especially here now with the Sport exhaust in the Sport Plus mode, I think we don't have to argue so much about the sound. I'm also switching here now to the PDK, the dual clutch transmission, which is 7-speed. So I can really focus on driving, keeping my hands at the steering wheel. That's of course really nice for the racetrack. However, you've seen earlier this donut I was doing, this half donut. That one is of course easier with a manual transmission because you can hit the clutch then and do some fun stuff. Also, you can see the throttle blip when I'm shifting down or when the PDK is shifting down. And well, this dual clutch transmission does a great job. You don't have to do it manually then. And you're actually faster with it. Even experienced drivers are faster with the PDK. Wow. What a handling. I mean, you can't feel the G-forces. I can put you in the G-meter. I'm not sure if you can see it on camera, but it's always really a fun stuff to see. Definitely the G-meter. So it goes like almost 1 G when I'm in the corner here now. And you feel the perfect weight balance from front to the rear. Also with the facelift here, they have increased the steering by 10%, and means I don't have to steer that much. You see, I'm always keeping both in the steering wheel, even in sharp corners. That really helps me. Also, the suspension has been changed, and we've experienced it earlier. The car is more comfortable to ride now, and the good thing is, it's even sportier to ride. So in both sides has been improved. And of course, difference came in Boxster. Here with a closed top, you have even more stability than in a convertible, and that helps you especially on the racetrack. But for normal car drivers who are not going on the racetrack, this difference won't be that vast. So, enjoy some more with me here on the racetrack, guys. one last clear look at this beauty. That leads us to our conclusion. And as I said earlier, to me, this one here is the pure Porsche. This one here comes closer to the original idea of the 911. And I think it's also the best Porsche you can buy for money if you stick to this very Porsche DNA. Of course, a Porsche SUV is also more comfortable, no question. But if you want that pure sports car feeling, you'll be better with that and just pay half the price of the 911. I think there's no other car that offers this kind of handling. It's just the perfect handling and the perfect direction of the car. You feel one with the car and the car to the road. This is just one unit. And also great, the interior as refined as ever from the build quality and also the sporty design. And Porsche really steps up the game as for sustainability and offers us a lot of good seat surfaces, for example. And also you could say that engine-wise, they're looking into the future because, I mean, we have to live with that. It's not the end of the world if we have 2 cylinders less. Yes, a 6-cylinder did sound good. This one here, well, maybe the sound isn't as refined as before, but they really worked also with the special exhaust and the exhaust button that you can still have a good sports car sound. So, I mean, you can still argue about that, but performance-wise, it's really stepped up the game again. So you have a very good performance, especially with the turbo. You don't have any big turbo lag. The car's really right on there. And also on the racetrack, it's a phenomenal car, definitely. So, well, it's hardly anything to criticize besides that, I mean, there are surely more cars with more long-term comfort, but for such a small sports car, you can still very well use the trunk in the front and the rear, so you're not that inflexible overall. I want to hear your feedback, of course, and would you go for the Cayman or for the Boxster? Are you more a convertible guy? Then also check out, of course, our other review from the Boxster. And looking forward to your feedback in exterior, interior, also maybe colors and stuff. And of course, our driving experience and what you think about this Cayman or 911 issue. Would really be interested to hear that. Put me that one in the comments. Thank you very much again for watching Autogefühl. Please keep supporting us. I think we'll see each other at our next episode.